I'm ready now. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. And we respectfully acknowledge that we live and work in Mi'kmaq as the steward of the ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. We are all treaty people. Approval of the agenda and order of business. Any changes, additions? Tom, I think you wanted to add something?
General comments at the end, please.
Anyone else, any changes? Oh, and
Approved agenda.
as amended, yeah, one thing. Seconded, discussion. All those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. And just so that everybody knows, Tina won't be here today. She's not feeling particularly well yet. Public input. Each person is limited to 5 minutes, with the entire public input session not to exceed 15 minutes. Each person must state their name and civic address. Questions or comments are to be directed to the chair, and comments are open to any municipal matter. So does anybody wish to speak to council this morning?
I do.
Okay.
My name is Kim Lance.
Oh, yeah, come on up.
He has a presentation.
Oh, you have a presentation. You're already on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Different matter?
Yes.
That's a different matter, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Not familiar.
Okay, come on up.
Mine is the only thing that matters.
Okay. Come on up. Up to the front. And name and civic address.
Just give me a second.
Yeah.
Name's Aaron Kaiser,
Morning.
2669 Highway 12, New Ross. And it's concerning, there's a few things we found out here on that system that you wanted to put in Chester Basin. That was not one of the specific sites that was picked out of 3. You had 3 sites that was picked out. The garage was not one. And you know that. But here's the plan that you were going to upgrade the old system where you said yourselves, you're going to upgrade and extend behind it. It's right here, right on this plan. You don't remember?
Oh, I know what
Do you
we're
want to
doing.
look at that? Let me point it out to you, and you can take it up and show it him if you want. But there's the old seating system in Chester Basin, the one they were going to upgrade and extend behind it. This one right here, not over here behind the garage. So you had 3 sites in Chester Basin that you were going to put this system, okay?
Okay, we've chosen one.
All right. Now, CBLC, the big company in Halifax, his CBCL, I questioned him. I called him one day. I said, "You'll find what's going on here."
Yeah.
So when I called the man, I told him who I was. And I said about this septic system here in Chester Basin. He said, "You familiar with it?" I said, "You familiar with Chester Basin?" He said, "Yes, I am." I said, "Well, name off the businesses." Puzzle. No clue where Chester Basin was. I said, "That's where the system's going." He said, "I don't know nothing about it." Well, that's funny. You don't know nothing about it. Are you positive? Now, I had 3 other people, right? Blaine Weber and them was in there, and they were laughing heads up because, especially when this guy turned around, I put the question to him. I said, your name is Lamb Bradley. Your extension, this is your number, and your extension number. He said, "Yeah." "And you're positive you don't know nothing about it?" "No." Well, somebody lied to him out of this municipality because I said, "Why is your name signed above and approving it then? And you don't even know where Chester Basin is." So who told you? Actually, our conversation's over. So it lays between 3 people in this municipality, right here. It lays between you, Andre, and Fred. Somebody had to talk to this man to get this approved. Read what it says out loud right up there about that piece of property.
You read it.
Listen.
You're running out of time, so just keep.
Yeah, well, it's too bad because I'll tell you, I might run out of time, but I'll be down here at every meeting, and I'm telling you, next time the other people are coming, because I already talked to them, the ones that has land there, you didn't even go around and talk to one person in the community when you were told to by Danielle Barkos a year or so ago. You just went and done what you wanted to do.
I did what I had to do.
No, you didn't. No, you only done it for one reason. We wouldn't be here today, but you done this here. How this all started was when the one that owns the shanty bought a piece of land up over the hill that he wanted to develop and put buildings up there. But the land was too wet and too rocky to do anything with. So you decided it would go behind the garage, perfect spot. But you thought you were going to get the garage, which you didn't, because now you haven't got enough land. States right here. Not enough land to do it. So you're going to have, there's 276 or 78 signatures on papers, which you should have, because they gave them to the secretary out there when I was down here Tuesday. I gave her a copy of each one. There's probably more votes than you had, more than likely. And I turned around and I called the lawyer. When you slandered my business and my name, that's what you did. Yes, you did. Do you want to see it? They also have copies. The girl should have gave everybody a copy when she photocopied it and passed one. But you slandered my name, my business. They called it the old Kaiser service station that's owned by Aaron and Michelle Kaiser. Wouldn't surprise me there wouldn't be some discrepancy when we go to more or less try to take the garage so you'd have enough land. Well, it didn't work, did it? Didn't work, did it, Al?
I never tried to take it. Nobody, we didn't try to take your garage.
Oh, it states right in the paper how you explain it. Maybe they should turn it around, but they had photocopied there last year, and maybe you should read it over. But he said, I can have you as a civil suit for slandering my business, my name, and my wife's name. And you know what?
Yeah, your time's up.
Oh, yeah, it's always up because you're scared to face the truth, but the
I'm
people.
not scared of the truth at all. I know precisely
Well,
what I'm doing.
you don't know what the truth is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it will come out and it will be on TV.
Good.
'Cause I get all the proof for it.
I love TV, watch it every day.
Oh, yeah. You're an idiot, you always was. You'll never change.
Get out.
What'd you say?
I said,
I'm
get
a
out.
taxpayer of this community.
You're
too.
supposed to show respect, and you're not doing that.
But you never showed no respect for the people in Chester Basin.
Yeah.
You never showed.
Get
nothing.
out.
Don't worry, I'll be back next week.
You might be.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if you don't show respect, you won't be.
Maybe you should start showing respect for
Yeah.
the people, the taxpayers of the municipality of Chester.
I am.
Instead of lying to everybody.
I haven't lied to anybody.
The proof is there that you lied. and
I
told
didn't lie to
everything's
anybody.
lied.
We'll see you.
Yeah, you don't like it, do you? Hurts.
Well,
Truth hurts, doesn't it?
I've been dealing with you for a while.
Truth hurts. What do you think? Does it hurt? Sure it does.
Yeah. See you later.
That's gonna be a tough act to follow.
Whatever. Anybody else that doesn't have an appointment wish to speak?
What's that over?
Okay, minutes of the previous meeting. April 23rd, errors or omissions?
Motion to approve the. Second motion. I'll second that motion.
I thought you moved it and she was seconding it.
Forgot to hear these things.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Proclamations and designations, I'm not aware of any. Oh, okay. Committee reports, Lunenburg County Senior Safety was Councillor Connors, so you all have a copy of it. So if you have any questions, give her a call. I don't know the answers to them. Okay, Kim Lance.
Yes.
Come on up.
Good morning. So I'm not familiar with the protocol here, so you have to tell me when to go, when to stop.
Yeah, I will. No, you just make your presentation, and if we have questions, we'll ask, and if you can answer them, you will.
Okay, my name is Kim Lance. I'm the founder and owner of Quiet Waters Properties and another housing development called The Grant on Chester Grant Road. And we've got an issue that we would like to deal with. So going to start by saying good morning, Council, and thank you all for the opportunity to speak here today. We appreciate the time that you're giving to this matter. Our presentation today is focused on what we believe is a broader planning and policy issue within the current bylaw, land bylaw use. Specifically, we believe that modern mini-homes, not a great name, but that's a name that's still used, and modular homes should be treated consistently within the municipality's framing network in general basic zoning where there are no architectural regulations. But we are only looking to have that modified in the general basic area. Our position is not about avoiding oversight or avoiding any regulation. Our position is that the current distinction between mini homes and modular homes no longer reflects modern construction standards, modern manufacturing methods, or the reality of how these homes are built today. I think it's often considered that mini homes, people get them kind of mixed up with the old mobile homes and so on from the 70s and 80s, and you know, we contend with lots of evidence this is not the case. So under the municipal land bylaw use in a general basic zone, mini homes are included in the manufactured home category while modular homes are excluded from the manufactured home category. As a result of that, modular homes or site-built homes, we can place up to 4 homes on one lot and proceed without requiring a site plan or a development agreement. Mini homes are treated differently and require additional approval processes after 2 homes. So after 2 homes, then we have to go to with mini homes, it automatically pulls into case a development agreement. We believe this creates an inconsistency within the framing, the planning framework. Now, today's modern mini homes are functionally similar to modular homes in both construction and in function. Modern mini homes are built in the same factories as modular homes. They're built on the same assembly lines. They're built by many of the same manufacturers, in our case, Kent Homes. They're built to the same engineering standards, built to the same CSA standards, built in the same ISO 9001 approved factory, and they're designed as permanent residential dwellings. In many cases, the primary distinction is simply that a mini home is a single section modular unit. From a construction and safety perspective, modern mini homes and modular homes are extremely similar products. Now, the requirement for a development permit appears to be tied to the classification as a dwelling, classification of a dwelling as a mini home rather than the number of dwellings on a lot. Once again, if we can do 4 stick-builts or 4 modular homes on a lot without any approval processes except by the building department. But if we go to mini homes, then it triggers a development agreement. So 4 stick-built homes or modulars are permitted on a lot under current zoning. Why would 4 mini homes built to the same standards trigger a development agreement? If the concern is related to density, housing density, then the regulation should apply consistently to all dwelling types. If the concern is related to the built form, then clarification is needed as to how many homes differ from a modular home or a stick-built home. As an example, we had a permit rejected for a mini home, but we took exactly the same blueprint, crossed out Kent Homes, and said, I will stick-build this home, and it's instantly approved. Now, the stick-built home has whatever the builder provides as a warranty. It's not CSA approved, it's not engineered, it's not built in an ISO 901 factory. And because it is not CSA approved, it is not mortgageable on leased land. And our developments are leased land. So with a mini home, it is CSA approved, so it can be mortgaged through a special program through CMHC on leased land or freehold land. So we could build the same home, exactly the same color, exactly the same blueprint and everything else, but that's not acceptable. That is not based on the current planning strategy or rules that we have to follow. So we believe the current classification system is based more on historical perceptions of older mobile homes rather than how modern mini homes are actually constructed. As a result, 2 very different forms of housing are regulated differently, despite similar construction standards, similar longevity, they last just as long as a stick-built or a modular home, and similar residential use. They're built for housing families. They have similar appearance and function. So we believe the planning regulation should reflect current housing realities and the current construction standards, and let's get away from the old outdated idea that these are house trailers. That's my part of the presentation.
Okay, so just if I can summarize, what
Yes.
you're essentially saying is we need to change the bylaw to allow this to be treated in the same fashion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And I have to ask a question. We did send out some paperwork earlier. I don't know if
Yeah,
everybody's
we
received it.
all
And we
have.
did send a video. Was the video come through or not? I know there was some issue with downloading it. No? Well, that's okay. I think a lot of you have been in our development of quiet waters, and basically we were just showing that, you know, this is not an ugly trailer park. This is a nice housing development, very popular. It's one of the more successful housing developments in the municipality in the last number of years.
Oh, yeah, and relatively affordable for people.
Relatively affordable. Nothing is affordable, but relatively is the benchmark
Cup of
there.
coffee's hardly affordable.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I will say, when we started 7 or 8 years ago, our first home was $135,000. Now they're $280,000. But that is everything, including demand by COVID and manufacturing costs and
Everything
fuel
else.
costs, and everything is up,
The world isn't the same place.
except maybe our salaries may not be up as much.
No, well, that part sort of stayed stable. Okay, I don't know, Garth, if you want to speak to that. I mean, I don't know precisely why we have it different, other than historically, probably.
Yeah, and so this, I mean, if council's interested, we could bring back a staff report. Council did have a similar report.
I know.
Over the last year, but if they'd like to reconsider it, we could dust that off and make sure it's updated and bring that back with some options.
Well, I'd like to, but Andre, you want to speak? You were first, I think.
Did you?
It's okay, if you guys want to, and then if there's something to add from here, I can.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll just say that when we're creating bylaws or any kind of framework for developers, we always have to consider how it will be used outside of the immediate need. So quiet waters, as you say, and I agree, is a very well laid out development. You know, it's a real benefit, I think, to the area, and the people that live there, I think they're happy, and I think generally speaking, the development has been well received. As we create bylaws, we have to anticipate what others might do should we open it up. And the common issue that comes with these pre-manufactured sort of like single module homes is the repetitiveness of the form when you increase the density. And maybe in your development we don't have that situation, but if we were to expand and reduce the requirements for permitting, that's the threat that we have. And that threat is not one of quality, as you've cited accurately. Like, the buildings themselves are well built, they're built to the same standards as any stick-built house. It's one of character. So sometimes when developments come into an area and they have a real repetitiveness of form, it can be very jarring, especially in a rural area where you have a wide mix of different architecture and form that makes up the character of that rural community, and then you have that jarring repetitiveness of form. And through a development agreement, we can ask for or negotiate for
The changes.
yeah, or like vegetative buffers or other things that can make it better and make it adapt better into the community. That may not, it's a tool that we would use as council to try to integrate these developments into our community, because there's even those developments that are repetitive still have a place. So I'm not saying I'm for or against your idea or whatever. If it's the will of council to revisit this topic, you know, I'm willing to revisit it with them, of course. But just from the other side of it, I just want you to make you aware what we're thinking about is that, you know, your development is very well done and tasteful and stuff, but not everybody is. And so if we were going to change the rules, then it could have other worse consequence, and it could be one in my district, in the Aspetogan, that would be very jarring if we don't have any controls in place. So we have to make these decisions very carefully, because it's way more far-reaching than quiet waters.
Okay, can I respond to that?
Of course.
We're not asking for a limit of controls. We are looking at doing, in fact, the new development we're looking at in Chester Grant, we are looking at doing a site plan, which does give you certainly some sort of control. There are reasons why we would prefer to do a site plan as opposed to a development agreement. And in the area where we're looking at in Chester Grant, we're taking forest land, same as Quiet Waters, was simply forested land, tax base of $2 a year, 8 acres at 25 cents an acre. Now it has a tax base of $10 million. And in our area in Chester Grant, which we would like to provide housing for young families, Quiet Waters is a 55-plus community. There's much needed housing for young families and other retirees. It's just for the general public. We don't have an age restriction in our development in Chester Grant. But we would like to proceed with that one with a site plan, and Natasha will give you some reasons why we think a site plan is a better option there. But more than anything, a site plan allows us to do this in small stages of 11 homes or less. And if we find that we need to change something, and if council or the developers or planners need to change something along the way, as we do the next stage, it's much more open to that. So we're not looking at getting approval for 150 homes or anything like that. We would like to move forward with a site plan instead. Okay?
Sharon?
Thank you. Thank you for coming in, Kim. Appreciate it. I know it's certainly housing is needed. And your development looks great as it is. The only question I have, I kind of looked online, and I don't know, maybe someone can explain. There had to be a reason why we had the regulations for mini homes. Maybe back in the 70s, they were a lot different. But I look, especially on the Kent Home site, and the construction standard for the mini homes is a different CSA standard than the modular, like the,
Yes, that's correct.
so I know they're all like high quality, energy efficient. So maybe someone can explain that to me. Maybe there was a reason that has a different code. Like there's CSA Z240, I don't know if our planner, and then there's CSA 8277. They don't mean a thing to me, but there has to be a reason for that code.
I think Justin from
Yeah.
Kent Homes can explain that very carefully, very quickly.
Okay.
Well, the codes, like the CSA, it's basically based on the type of build, the type of manufacturing that's happening. So they are different because of basically just what that construction is. Now, I can't speak to the specifics of it. I could get, for council, if they'd like it, I could have sent to Kim and have the entire breakdown side by side. But essentially the construction, like I could speak on the materials, the construction, all these things are built in an assembly line, essentially.
Yeah.
So our modular home would be in front. It basically, the codes would probably apply, maybe the planner can even speak to the codes more, I'm not sure, but would apply to the type of finished unit. But nothing to do with necessarily
Still meets the building code, that's
the
what
exact same
matters.
building code.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
I can give you a very quick explanation of that.
Isn't that identifier?
An A277 is an incomplete home. A Z240 is a complete home. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so an A277 is a home that can come in two pieces, or comes in with something
Okay.
incomplete. In fact, in Quiet Waters, in a few of our homes, we brought them in without finished countertops, because I was in the cabinet business and I made countertops. So that is an incomplete home. So then we have to install the countertops, and then the building inspector inspects it, and it's a completed home. So the home is essentially no different. The fact that it's an A277 means it's a module or a component that needs some completion on site. A Z240, my motor home is a Z240, it's a complete unit.
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't require any work to be done on site.
I think the CSA Z240 allows for surface-mounted foundations as well.
Well, actually, an A277 does as well. But the CSA approval allows for a surface foundation.
Gareth, just when he refers to the site plan, is that a requirement at the moment?
Heather, do you want to speak to that?
Sure, so, under our general basic zone, excluding manufactured homes with a single unit, we currently allow That's right, up to 4, no development permit. 5 to 11, they go through site plan approval process, which includes some engineering. It does not include any architectural controls. We have 0 of those in the general basic zone specifically. It includes some site locations, some landscaping requirements, confirmation that the access is approved by Department of Transportation, and that the on-site system that's being utilized is either approved by Nova Scotia Environment unless it is connecting into our municipal system. And there is a very small area in the municipal side, it's 60 meters, so that's about 200 feet, where everybody is notified. The property owners around it are notified of it. They do have a chance to appeal, but it is very prescriptive of the criteria that the person has to go through for the site plan
Yeah.
are the only things they can appeal on.
I'm
So
just
it does
wondering if the
exist.
site plan process would help address some of the, because I understand the concerns that you brought up.
Well,
you know.
At the end of the day,
Because the
you
wrong
can-
developer can do a lot of bad things.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
but at
so-
the end of the day, you can unfortunately stick build, copy paste 11 homes and they all look the same anyway. Or copy paste 11 modulars and they all look the same. So I don't know if, I understand what you're saying, but I don't know if that's the best solution.
Andre?
That you are correct, that could happen. It just, we have not yet observed that. It's not common for that to happen. So, and I can't think of a development where it is happening. So, I think that's why we don't have any regulatory framework around that. I agree that we could build replicas of.
Yes, and there are no architectural controls in general basic zone, right?
No.
As far as style and shape.
There-
So,
And but therein lies sort of the problem is that although there are no specific controls, that when you do mass housing projects, then it does impact the character in a way that we want to have some, this is our last ability to actually have some sort of control.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not closed to the idea of examining it, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, there are issues that need to be
Like,
addressed.
it's not,
one
it's
way or
not
the
just like, oh, obviously, and then just like, we'll just rip the door wide open. It's, I think there's a whole other side of this that we would definitely have feedback from the public on. And, there are many that would be very interested in this topic, I think.
yeah, the other thing is Kent Homes does not build one modular home. Kent Homes has
Oh, a variety of them.
20 different models of homes. As you drive through Quiet Waters, you'll see many different types and
What
styles
are
of
the
homes.
specific issues that are causing you grief over the development agreement?
Time delays. Actually, Natasha can answer that in what she has to say.
Yeah.
There are some issues with that.
The main issue is the time and the cost, because at the end of the day, we're trying to keep housing affordable for buyers. And when we're taking, I believe it's at least 8 months for a development agreement approval, 6 to 8 months, it's going to take way more time, and that eventually all these extra costs get passed on to the buyer. So it kind of defeats the purpose of us trying to work with the municipal planning strategy and
Is there a way to?
give people the ability to buy housing. The big difference between the site plan and the development agreement was, I think we just have
Okay.
longer timelines, additional legal fees, and then of course additional development costs and additional barriers to obtain housing for potential homeowners.
Thank you. Anyone else questions or comments that you wish to make?
Presentation.
Where do you want to go from here? Anything?
Justin is a representative here from Kent Homes, and maybe he can clarify in his
Yeah,
notes.
I mean, I can speak to, I completely understand, you know, we're protecting the integrity of a community, so
community, yeah,
that makes
that's
sense.
important.
Character level, you know, you don't want just mass construction of the same thing over and over again, taking away from what is a beautiful, you know, and well-respected community. I can speak to the quality of the homes and the diversity of the homes, obviously, too. So if it, you know, and I understand the issues, what I can provide may not answer solve the problems for Quiet Waters, but nonetheless, I can assure you that the homes, there is the ability to have, you know, differential and create a community that looks like it fits, you know, the traditional area market through Kent Homes, what we call mini homes now, but really are single box modular homes, because they are built exactly the same. A modular home is two homes, basically, two mini homes put together with nice features to create a different roof line and whatnot. So it's really just on the manufacturing side. But the quality of the home and the ability to customize those homes and design it the way that Quiet Waters has, which is probably one of our, preeminent communities. We have communities that exist in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, on through Ontario that we sell to, that do follow that sort of park model that you're kind of referring to, the standard, line. But it doesn't have to be that way. And I think based off what Andre was saying, was that,
It's how we control that, though.
right, and I think that's where that's where the conversation goes next, probably, is what things can be put in place to not eliminate this excellent option for affordable housing, because, even in like the Build Canada Homes announcements and whatnot, modular, which includes the mini homes, and which we're using now as sort of the entry-level affordable option, are well represented in there and ticked off as a great option. So how can we make it so that it fits, these models as well, small town, community models like historical, and it can be done, and the quality can still be there as well. So it's not going to be that traditional, or I don't know what I could call it traditional, kind of that mindset that everyone has of a park or a trailer park or a mini home park. It's basically just a modular development, but they're single boxes.
I got a question for Garth or whoever. Can we control that through the site plan process, or can we not?
Yeah, if council was interested, we could take a look at the criteria in there, and certainly look to add something along the lines of what Councilor Vino was saying to require a difference in form between the structures. We don't have anything like that now, but definitely that's something we could bring back some
Well,
some
yeah.
options.
Well, I just wonder if that's an option for us or not.
We can also control that directly through permits. So if we want to start adding in some requirements to have variability on the units, we can do that directly through a permit. If we want to require certain separation distances so that you don't get that Kit Kat look where it's that old traditional modular where it's like 1 and then 10 feet and then 1 and 10 feet and 1 and 10 feet.
But that would apply to everybody's house, though, then, wouldn't it?
You could specify it
Okay.
directly to the site.
The larger
It would
development.
still be a difference, but it is possible.
So with the site plan, we're not trying to get rid of controls, we still expect
Yeah,
there
just
would
a
be some
simpler
control.
process for you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Andre?
And I'll be quick, because I know we have to move on, but, in, I think our last council meeting, we talked about, density versus unit caps. So, in proposed developments, I think the way a lot of our bylaws are written, it's like up to a certain number of units on a PID, and the problem with that, and I'll acknowledge that there's a weakness here in our, the way we do it, is that, if you have a large piece of land, very large, and you hit that threshold of 12 units or whatever, suddenly it triggers this. You could be on 80 acres, and you get 12 units on 80 acres, that's very rarefied, these are they could be very well spread out, and it makes no sense. And the same development could be on 2 acres, and they'd be subject to the same rules. And so I think council, if I recall correctly, we're interested in looking at the idea of density in terms of trying to match the number of units against the amount of land. And maybe we might even want to look at usable land, because obviously if you have 70 acres of wetland and 2 acres of good land in the front, then you're not going to pack 20 units on there. So I think that discussion actually is one that we're having already, and it actually makes sense to your issues here, because you're not trying to cram them in like sardines. There's enough land, and maybe you have lots of land, so.
Quiet Waters encompasses of 8 acres, we have 120 acres in the parcel, and
Right.
Chester Grand is a 30-acre lot.
Right,
yes.
so if we started looking at things more in terms of the density rather than hard lines on the unit count, I think that we're gonna see probably a bit more flexibility for developers like yourself. And we may put with that also some spacing or something requirements, so that you don't still pack them all in one little area and you have all this backland or whatever, but something thoughtful like that, I can see maybe there's some sort of
Flexibility.
way that we can both get what we want.
Tom?
Thank you, Warden Weber. First of all, good presentation, very sensible approach. I'm prepared to make a motion that we ask staff to look at this and review what can be done, because I believe if we're talking about growth strategy, we're talking about community and affordability and everything, this is an approach we have to look at it, modernizing some of the challenges that have been drug on for decades, and we need to look at this. I'm prepared to
Well,
make that motion.
I'd be interested in finding out what changes we can make to the site plan process that would address these
That's right.
concerns.
So therefore, there I make the motion.
Yeah.
Sure.
Moved, seconder? Seconded, discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. Might take time, but
Thank you.
you talked us into taking a look at it.
Thank you very much.
There are times when I should keep my mouth shut, this might be one of them.
Well, I mean, even if we wanted to, we couldn't change the whole damn policy. Yeah.
I feel we've made some progress.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, bylaws and policies. 9.1, repeal infrastructure changes.
Sorry about Detroit. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you guys, we ready to move on? Certainly not. We're on to 9.1, people.
Take it out the hallway.
Right.
Good guys. And he might be more suited for you.
Two for two.
Okay, Fred.
Sure. This is a repeal of the infrastructure bylaw, basically to update one of the maps. We've done this twice before. We did it for Western Shore, one in Chester Basin, and now there's this one that brought an early report on for an extension to the Chester Commons area. And there's the proposed map is on a following page. And, oh, yeah, you could see the small area, Pam highlighted in yellow. And also the area around, on the previous map, the area around Stanford Lake where we did the recent expansion. That had a future sewer service area. Well, now it's a sewer serviced area. The infrastructure's in place to allow gravity development. And yeah, that's the crux of the report, right? You know.
Okay, questions, people? And we need to do
Yes.
repeal.
Yes.
First reading.
First reading or motion to repeal.
Yeah.
First reading.
Moved, seconder?
Also.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, motion carried. That
Right.
was relatively simple. Okay, 9.2, new planning and advisory committee, second notice for policy changes. I think we all know what this one's all about, don't we? Do we need to have a report or somebody prepared to give with second notice? Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, motion is carried. Thank you, Gary.
The only note I'll make on that is the heritage property bylaw will need second reading as well, but the advertising was a longer period, so that'll be coming forward to a future meeting. That's the last piece of that one.
Okay, Village of Chester Secondary Planning Strategy. Oh, you're not doing that one? Oh, okay. Okay, I
So,
understand this one pretty well,
have
too.
before you, report on, decision for first, notice of intent to, sorry.
Notice to amend.
I have two applications, sorry. So the Heritage Society wants to do some commercial uses at the train station property. So they're on Smith Street,
This would also
and
apply to library.
there's currently a museum and tourist information and a bit of commercial use related to the historical use already. So in order to accomplish this, they need to, apply to change the policies in the zoning to specifically permit several commercial uses at the lands. So the reason for that is in the institutional policies, it doesn't mention standalone commercial uses. So as with the Maple Cottage application we did a few years ago, council supported looking at this through a site-specific or spot zoning method. So changing it so that that specific parcel is allowed to do these certain commercial uses. So those uses are craft workshop, restaurant use, retail store, and expanded event possibilities. So we've also included in the draft amendments, council was showing a bit of concern with what might happen there if we allowed kind of blanket commercial uses. So we've drafted it to have it be specific to the property and to have it under the ownership of a nonprofit group. So if it were to change hands, someone couldn't just change it all into a restaurant. So we've accomplished that in this draft amendments. That's being recommended. So the actual amendments would add several sections into the MPS, just speaking to why council's made this decision and a few policies that support it. Very much in the same vein as the Maple Cottage we did a year or two ago for the benefit of partner organization, community organization. And then the changes to the zoning, basically we've created a new section in the institutional zone that speaks directly to this property and allows it, if there's demonstrated nonprofit ownership, those, I guess it's 5 commercial uses would be permitted. So entertainment, commercial places of entertainment, recreation, or assembly, so events indoor, and then one that's events outdoor, and craft workshop, which is the station master who works there. He does small work on historical artifacts and stuff, so we wanted to recognize that, as well as restaurants in existing buildings and retail in existing buildings. And just the one last piece is there is a caboose that's on the lands, I'm sure you're all aware, but just to mention that they're hoping they could possibly put restaurant or something use in that caboose. There's some major hurdles for them as far as like building permits and things like that, but so we've added, or within a stationary train car into the language just to make sure we captured everything. So
yeah. Does anybody any particular questions or prepared to move that we give first notice?
First reading.
First reading? Tom?
Thank you, Warden Weber. Through you to Paul, thanks for the presentation. I've had several meetings with these groups up at the train station and many discussions, and they have a vision. They have good, solid basis for what they're trying to do, and I'd like to make a motion that we move forward with this to make the changes as needed.
Okay, first notice.
First notice.
Yeah. Seconder? Seconded by Andre. Discussion? Sharon?
Yeah, I'll just make a comment. It makes sense. Maybe they can do some things to make their organization more viable and, sustainable going forward. It does make sense, and I agree with the, comments. It's a nonprofit organization and things that need to happen there. And as far as the caboose, there is a restaurant in Tatamagouche that is in a caboose. It's quite the thing. They even have a little, you can stay overnight and whatever. Things can be done. I'm just saying, there is a possibility. So I support it.
Andre?
Yeah. I will say that I am in favor of this. I do have small reservations, just that we all, I think, recognize that the site stopping distance for this property is really
That's the biggest
terrible.
problem.
And should it drive, you know, like, should we become victims of our own success here? You know, I can see this as being an issue, and we may have to do, it may require infrastructure improvements somewhere there, should this, you know, become,
If it gets busy, yeah.
yeah, or like when they do their farm market things and stuff like that.
Crazy.
It's very dangerous there, so I think in the future, we may wish to talk to Public Works about future infrastructure, whatever we can do possibly with, well, I don't think transportation's gonna come to the table with much, but what we can do on our own to try to,
Improve it, yeah.
yeah, that's my only concern. I recognize the need for this from a policy standpoint, but there is also a bit of a negative as well.
Councillor Cooling?
It's not the first time we had this table, spoke about the traffic calming and the potential there. I mean, we've already had many discussions and many meetings regarding that. So it has to be in the forefront when any decisions have to be made. You know, how much more traffic will be going there, what traffic calming lights. I mean, we discussed it in the past, but we need to consider it moving forward. Thank you.
It's already an issue, yeah. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion? Opposed, motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, amendments to MPS, remove policy related to archaeological, community development, and recreation.
So, what we have, or what I have for you here is a set of amendments which, as the title says, are intended to remove policies that are related to archaeological assessment in both our municipal planning strategy and our village secondary planning strategy. It has mirrored policies. These apply to files that are requesting a land use bylaw amendment or a development agreement. And the long story short on this is that upon staff review, there are a number of issues with the way this has been working. We looked back to when the provision was first implemented and found an old staff report that actually spoke a bit to the intent of that, and we've realized that the way it's transitioned into what's happening now is not the original intent. Just to summarize, the original intent was essentially to provide a heads up to developers that they may be working in an area of heightened archaeological significance and potentially should seek additional guidance through the province, which is the normal keeper of archaeological legislation. What we've found has happened in practice is that when we get a proposal for a site development, we would send that to the province, to special places. They would provide us with some emailed comments, which in some cases had quite a bit of specifics and in others did not. And they intentionally keep this data quite close, and it's not publicly available to avoid people going in to mess with potential archaeological sites. So it makes sense. The original staff report envisioned Chester staff having access to that data, and that is possible, but then we're under the same non-disclosure and that we then can't pass it along, and so that really worked against the original thought as to why we'd add this in. So what's resulted is it's created a bit of what I call kind of red tape for developers. There's been cases where the comments back are relatively vague, but they are still recommending additional further study be done, and that is at the applicant's cost. And that can be very expensive depending on the site. It involves professional archaeologists being on site and doing groundwork and testing. And the final piece to why this is being recommended for removal is that also upon review and discussion with the solicitor, it doesn't appear that the Municipal Government Act explicitly gives us
the authority over
archaeological. So particularly in the case that we were potentially looking at rejecting a project solely based on archaeological policies, that could put us potentially in a poor position in terms of an appeal, that kind of thing. So for all of those reasons, staff are
we get rid of it.
recommending that we remove it. It's the amendments themselves, which are at the back here, are fairly straightforward. It's really just deleting a few lines to remove those. If council had any questions, I'd be happy to do so, but we'd essentially be looking for, I should also note that this file has come directly to council because we don't have a PAC currently in effect.
That's
So as
correct.
we discussed a couple of weeks ago, in the interim, we didn't want to cause a delay, so any files, so this hasn't been to PAC, but it has had a PIM and otherwise follows our standard process. So we'd be looking for
A
a
motion to recommend
and
first reading.
and potentially a date for a public hearing.
Yep. Andre?
I'll move that we move this forward for first reading, and I'll just make a comment as well, that I have experience with this in my day job, you know, working on a site of 3.5 acres that had been developed for maybe 150 years and heavily worked, and, you know, with housing and septic fields and all this stuff, and those had all been then excavated and removed. And then because there was a requirement for a development agreement, then it triggered this requirement for an archaeological assessment, which, you know, we're already looking at lands that have been worked and reworked and dug up and put back, maybe
Sewer system.
like tens or even 100 times over their lifetimes, and then were required. And I think the comments we received back from the province were so vague and in nature that basically we were nearby water or something, so we could have some artifacts, and therefore we should then do more studies on this piece of land. It just, it shows the sort of weakness in our policy, and I think that for those reasons, I'm glad to see this go. So.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried.
And
Thank you.
If council was happy with it, I believe we could have the public hearing on, it would be May 28th before the council meeting.
Sure.
If that works, that would, we get the advertisement out
We're
this week.
here anyway, we might as well do it.
Great, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. 10.1. Business facade program.
Morning, Council.
Morning.
Okay, so the first thing that I have for you today is the Business Facade Program. So this is a follow-up to a policy and strategy session that we had, I believe it was in January, it's listed on here somewhere, to go through the Business Facade Program and the proposed approach that we were suggesting. Just as a reminder and going back here, the Business Facade Program has been mentioned as something we should be doing for quite a number of years, most recently in the Community Beautification and Revitalization Plan that was approved in 2025. So we have this now ready for approval. At the policy and strategy session, there were two pieces of direction that council provided that have been incorporated into this approach. The first one was, instead of having a blanket statement that indicated that this was open to any zone that allowed commercial activity within the municipality, the direction was to provide a series of maps within each of the hamlet areas so that we would very clearly identify where this would apply. So those have been provided. They should be there in your package. And the second piece of direction that was given at the policy and strategy session was the fact that we wanted to make it very clear that priority would be given to those businesses who had not received the program in a previous year. What we have put in there is in the previous, I believe it says 5 years, so we would be giving priority to people who hadn't received this for the previous 5 years. So those are the two changes that have been made to the program. Otherwise, it's the same as was presented during our policy and strategy session. The one additional thing I will add is we have this would be funded through the Economic Development Reserve, and we have suggested that the initial funding for year one would be for a total of 10 projects at $5,000 each, for a total of $50,000 from that Economic Development Reserve. So that's the program for your consideration.
That's it. So you're looking for? You moved it? Seconded? Do we have a seconder? Oh, sorry. Andre?
I think Tom seconded it, but discussion, I guess. The maps are helpful, and I just want to discuss the intent here, I think, is to provide this welcoming facade from our roadways and sidewalks and all this stuff, which the maps do adequately show the areas which we hope to make this improvement.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is that some of these properties are very deep. And, you know, if the intent is then to improve the give the sort of streets a facelift, if you will. And we have properties that are reaching back quite a long ways from the roadways, you know. I would hate to put into place some sort of bylaw where it allows people to improve the, you know, the quality of the facade of a building that's, you know, 1,000 feet from the road and nobody can see it anyway. And I feel like this, as we have it written in the way it doesn't, there's no, it seems to me that it should be some another layer in addition to the PIDs identified, also have like a, maybe a distance from a traveled way. I'm just suggesting that. I just see that as maybe a weakness in, if that is the intent of what we're doing, because I'm looking at some of these maps and they look like, you know, you're way back on the, you know, the Swinimer Road or something at the back of it, you know, you could have your facelift on your building and who's gonna see it?
Street facing.
Yeah, it seems, I feel like we need to maybe squeeze it down to the roadways a bit more. I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
Can I make a
address
comment
that.
on that? And obviously, we can change this in any way that council were to direct. The one thing I will just point out on this is the fact that the process, to your point, states that that is the intention. It's for the curb appeal. It's for the attraction from the streetway. And the process by which we do that is it's an evaluation by an internal staff group that would undertake that to say whether or not it meets those criteria. So the staff would be the ones determining whether or not the curb appeal has been met. So if it was a deep lot that was for a building that nobody could see from the street, staff would not approve that, essentially. So it could either be done in the policy or here, or it could be direction to staff that that's what you expect.
For the end of the summer, like we don't want to delay this program. There may be some changes that we'll end up making, but it looks like you can address that issue.
I feel we could address it in evaluation, but of course, this is direction from council.
Well, and I guess maybe I've been around here too long. I feel like, you know, it's great that we have a good qualified staff that understand our intent now. And then 20 years when maybe you're, have your feet up and you're retired and you're sipping your coffee and your replacement doesn't understand why this council put this in place, that some of those things may be lost.
Yeah.
So enshrining it in policy, this is our chance. I also don't want to, but to me, that having at least a line in there that the subject property should be visible from the main thoroughfare.
Oh, well, that's a simple one. That's a
Yeah,
simple
if we can
change.
add that in, then I feel like then I'd be in full support. I don't want to put something in place that 15 years from now, some future council will be like, why didn't they?
So we just want to add that one line.
Yeah, so quick question. So just to make sure that we get this clear, so, and I'm looking to the chair to make sure that I understand, can this motion, because you were talking about the timelines, can the motion be made within, for example, under eligible projects where we add the line that they must be visible from the street? And we would just add that as a line under the eligible, because, so this is my question, I guess, for chair or, all right.
Well, what we can do is make a substantial change, but I think this is more of a clarification.
Exactly.
So I don't think it's not changing the intent of the program.
Okay, so that's the motion that's on the floor is, sorry, Sharon?
Thank you. I kind of agree because although it's nice to see people improve their business facade, but it needs to be something that is visible
Well, that's what
from
it's
the
all
street
about.
or road. That's what it's all about.
Streetscape improvement. so-
Because when you have the map here and you show within the red line, it doesn't make sense. You know, especially the line there goes to the 103, well, I don't think that's our intent at all. It would make sense to be along the number 3 highway, or in Chester, you know, the Highway 3, Valley Road makes good sense, and, you know, in the downtown area, but
Well,
it
it has,
would,
the change we're making is, it has to be visible from the street.
Yeah, so, and if you just want to have this, so, and I can provide this to the clerk afterwards, but the additional line that we'd be putting under eligible projects would be, that the property, the exterior improvements would need to be visible from the primary roadway, is the way I would be writing that, if that works for
Well,
everyone.
that's a good start.
Does that work?
okay.
Okay, so the motion's on the floor, I think, isn't it? Oh.
Now we're voting.
All those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. I think we have one more, economic development strategy,
That is me.
action plan.
I'm not going anywhere, yes. So this one, your report is even lighter, but this is a follow-up to a policy and strategy session that was given back in April, where we presented the Economic Development Strategic Action Plan for review, had discussion among council about whether or not this aligned with all the priorities, what the purpose of the strategy was, all those things. And so now we are bringing that back for official approval. So in your package, you should just, in addition to the RFD, you should have the entire action plan that you would have had a chance to review. And I'm here for any questions, but otherwise we would be recommending that council approve that plan as presented.
Questions, or somebody prepared to move we approve it?
I'll move it, I'm sorry, I'll second.
Second it, moved and seconded, discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. We're taking a 10-minute break unless somebody's opposed to it. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. We have a variety of letters here that you can either just receive or whatever, but 11.1, the Honorable Tim Houston from Municipality of Shelburne, request for 5-year freeze and power rates. Received? Okay, 11.2, letter of mayors and wardens, village chairs from the Honorable John McDonald, legislative amendments. Received, yep. Okay, 11.3, letter for council from Howard Developments, re Chester Hills sewer connection fees, process concerns, and requests for council reconsideration. That's a little more complicated one. So, I don't know who.
Did you want me to speak?
Yeah, you can speak to it somewhat, because
sure.
it's complicated too.
Yeah. So we have, internally, we've reviewed the concerns in the letter. And from staff's perspective, we have worked collaboratively with the developer on this development. And in terms of the administration side, we haven't been able to come up with any specific instances of the long delays. But on the fee side, Mr. Ewer's feedback was received on May 2023, and he addressed that in the letter. And that was prior to the development of the infrastructure charges bylaw, and it was considered as part of the development of the bylaw. So council was aware he's proposing the same fees as he did back in 2023. And this bylaw applies across the municipality, so it's for anyone who's connecting into the sewer system. And it's important to note too, especially with developments of this size, and Fred, you can jump in. It's not cost recovery in terms of the fees that we're recouping from the per unit basis. It's subsidized in terms of a big development, and that we're trying to balance with the policy affordable development along with the overall burden to the taxpayer. So this one in particular, we've done research when we went into the pricing that was proposed and accepted by council around what is jurisdictional scans around who charges what in other areas, especially in HRM and other rural areas. So I don't know, Fred, if you wanted to jump in and answer that one.
A few quick ones. And since our discussion on this, we reached out with some other municipalities, but, you know, HRM for their sewer is just around 6,100 for single, and then 4,100 for the multi, which is close to what we have. Truro is 5,000 per unit. If there's a sidewalk in front for the reinstatement, it's 6,500. There's 3 areas in County of Kings, 2 are 4,000, one's 5,000. So there's a lot out there, and other municipalities are interested in developing the same, because, you know, the model is growth pays for growth, right? And we do invest, of course, with the larger developments and where it makes sense in our wastewater areas. But we feel we're in line with several others, and those that don't have something similar, they should really look at it, in my opinion.
Okay. Abdallah?
Yeah, I just have a question, Fred. So I know I have a few properties in my district that, you know, they pay the 1/3 sewer tax.
Yes.
But because there's nothing on there. So if they want to hook on right now, so obviously they would pay the yearly charge. Well, so the hookup fee would be the hookup fee, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, if they don't have a lateral already, then we would have to arrange to put one in, they would pay for that cost.
Which is what they're talking about here. They don't want to pay that.
No, it's on top of
amount.
that. It's on top of that, right? Like they,
Yeah.
to connect, they had to pay 6,000 on top
Yep.
of that, yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
So just like, it's got to go through Chester Basin, and you're going up past my house, say. If I want to hook on, I pay $6,000?
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
okay.
And what helps us with that is we're putting in all the laterals as we go, so there's none of this extra cost, so that's covered under capital.
Yeah.
And those who need to hook on can do so, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, we don't seem to be, right? And we came with different options, and some do it and some are higher, and so, yeah.
Some are lower.
Yeah, it doesn't really recover, but it
Oh, no,
helps
it costs us
with the
millions and millions
investment.
of
Yeah,
dollars
it's
to build.
investment, right, so, yeah.
Andre?
No, I would just say that generally, I think our fees are about on par with other units that are offering
Those are
similar
good.
services.
Yeah.
There's always variation, of course. But I think even if we were to somehow lower them, then the costs to build and maintain this infrastructure will still be there. And
Have to charge.
yeah, I think it actually may even put us in jeopardy of being challenged by those existing users that they're in a way subsidizing new development that they don't benefit from. So, like, I think it's kind of bad policy to lower the infrastructure charges and then
Have to put it on the operating cost.
yeah, expect the existing users to shoulder that burden. I think, in our time here on council since about 2013, when we brought in the universal sewer charge, we've done a lot of work to try to harmonize our charges and come up with something sustainable. I'm glad that we actually have a fund and a reserve there that didn't exist prior to that time. And, I think this is smart. I think we should probably leaving it as is and giving it some time. If we find, for example, our reserves are somehow building some radical rate or something like that because of hookups or something, then maybe we relook at it. But at this point, I don't think that's gonna be the case, and I think this is gonna be, a reasonable thing. And I think the developer in this case also made reference to the cost to do on-site sewage versus the cost to hook up, just the charges. And there are obviously pros and cons to both, this is most developers favor,
The
a
ability.
hookup where, that's one responsibility that is now shouldered by another entity.
Yeah.
And, that's a big relief, especially when you're in a big housing development thing. You can have abuse from your tenants, you don't have direct control. So I think that there are all kinds of intangible benefits to hooking up to a municipal system versus an on-site system that you have to maintain in perpetuity. So I'm inclined to sort of just say thank you for your comments kind of thing, and I think we're gonna just continue on with our land use bylaw as is.
Abdallah?
Yeah, and I mean, you know, he's a businessman.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I mean, it's like anything, you know, you'll ask for the moon and hope you get Earth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't blame the guy,
No,
but that's just what, yeah. He was worth the shot.
yes.
Okay, so it sounds like we don't intend to make any changes, so we just thank him for his letter and tell him that we're continuing on with the current system. Okay? Okay, so I'm on to 12.1, I think.
Alan, I have to step away. Our firm was hired to do a stormwater study on this project, so.
Okay. Let the minutes reflect that Councilor Vino was declared a conflict, and the reason for it. Okay, 12-point planning matter, East River Village Development Agreement.
Okay, yeah, so what I have before you is a staff report and a draft development agreement for a project that's been dubbed East River Village. Again, just before I begin, as a reminder, so this file, actually, well, I guess I'll give a little, maybe I'll wait and give a little bit of background in terms of the current status as we go. But similar to the other files this morning, this is being brought forward because we don't currently have a PAC committee in effect. So just to start from the beginning, so we've received an application and required fees and plans for a development agreement in East River. You can see the project location on the map there. So there are 2 PIDs that are included here, and it totals 129 acres in area. There's one significantly larger pit and then a smaller piece that will be used primarily for access to the site. In terms of the project site itself, the lot was originally created in 2005 as a result of a previous subdivision to create lots on the water side of the 329. So this site is on the inland side of the 329. There doesn't appear to be a long history of significant development or land use on the site. We don't have any permit records, and it appears there's an existing woods road. It appears it's been used for gravel and quarry operations, that kind of thing, in the past. There is a wetland on the site about halfway back. It's about 2 hectares in size, and as we get into the plans later, you'll see that has been buffered from as required under our land use bylaw. The zoning for the area is general basic, and that is within the rural character area of the municipal planning strategy, and that is why this project is going through a development agreement. So the general basic zone states that the development of more than 12 dwelling units on a single PID go through a development agreement. What has been proposed here is a total of 249 single unit detached dwellings on the 130 acres land, and when we get to the site plan, you'll see that they are spread out quite significantly through the site, so they're not clustered or anything like that. Let me see here. So just to speak about access to the site for a moment, so there an approval has been received. So Highway 329 is a provincially owned and maintained road. So the applicant has received an access approval for a single access to service the development. The initial intent was to seek a second access, have 2 in and out sections. Unfortunately, the secondary access was unable to meet the required stopping site distances that Nova Scotia Public Works requires due to the curvature of the road. We had several meetings with them to discuss were there any options, including requiring vegetation to be kept down to improve those distances, but unfortunately they were not able to issue an official approval for this as a day-to-day access point. So what we've done, or collectively with the applicant, is to maintain and upgrade that existing woods road. It will be gated, and then it will be available as an emergency access or egress. So that is a benefit. We'd like to see a second access point, and given the the constraints from the highway, this seems to be the best proposal that we can get. There's really no great option to go, on neighboring lots to have an access that way. There is also, and I've noted that this is not a condition of the development agreement, but there is also an intent to pursue a future access from the rear of the site across the Aspetucket Peninsula to Parkwood Drive, which is the D&D base. That, again, is, from what we understand,
in the future,
going to take a while through negotiations through the federal Defense Department and that kind of thing, but that has been expressed as a desire to create that connection. So we have, a single approved in and out right now, an emergency secondary access, and potentially a third, but we should be reviewing this agreement based on the single and the emergency that exists today. Similar, or as we do with all our development agreements, we have some policies around landscaping and screening on the site, so that is included in the draft development agreement. This development is proposed to occur in phases to allow potentially for it to occur over a number of years. And so the way we've worded it is that the landscaping for each phase has to be complete within 36 months after it's begun, so that the intent there is that, you don't have the folks that move in first feel like they're living in a construction zone forever, that their sodding and landscaping and everything like that is done within a reasonable time. We have setbacks built into the development agreement, so it's a 7.5 meter setback. It's roughly 28 feet from any property line for structures, so that's a pretty significant setback, even in our rural areas. And there is also a 5 meter non-disturbance area around the perimeter of the site, and so that's where no vegetation is to be removed, and that will provide screening from adjacent properties. Currently, the majority of the adjacent properties aren't developed, but if they were in the future, this would create some separation and screening there. In terms of roads and parking, so currently the internal road network is proposed to be maintained as a private road network. The plan does show a minimum right-of-way of 20 meters, which is, if there ever was a desire to come to council and talk about having a road turnover, the right-of-way is the baseline that you need, and then of course road construction on top of that. But as it's written in, it's proposed to be maintained as a private road network. Sewer and water infrastructure, so there are no municipal services in the area, so it's proposed to be served through a series of on-site systems. The proposal is that a single drilled well will provide water to 2 homes, so 1 well for 2 homes, and then an on-site septic system will provide service to 4 homes. So each home would have their own septic tank, but the septic field is shared by 4 collectively. And those would all be approved by Nova Scotia Environment at the time that permits were sought. So before you get a building permit, you're required to show that you have an approved on-site septic.
Yeah.
Groundwater supply, so that's another common topic and something that we do have policies for. So we have received a level 1 groundwater assessment, which was prepared by a qualified person. This was prepared earlier when the unit count was at 142 units rather than the 250 that are proposed today. The applicant also submitted a series of calculations with example water usage from a variety of different household sizes. The intent there was to show that the metrics that these water reports are based on are about 15 years old, and so that with current fixtures and usage patterns, it may be that there's a difference there. However, staff, not being qualified groundwater professionals, weren't prepared to just accept that. And so where staff have landed in terms of the recommended action is that prior to each phase beginning construction, a level 2 groundwater study would need to be conducted solely for that phase, and speak to and just as a reminder, level 1 groundwater is a tabletop. There's no wells drilled. They're looking at existing wells in the area and the rates and the geology under the site. The level 2 is where there actually are test wells drilled, and they do drawdown rates to actually prove there is water there to support the development. So that was the negotiation that staff have come to with the applicant as things are written now, is that we have this groundwater level 1 for 142 units. That doesn't cover the whole site, and therefore each phase will require a level 2 to actually prove it before those units are built. The other potential advantage to that is that, let's say we got to phase 6 and all the studies had been good, but the phase 6 study said, nope, there's no more water. Well, you know, it's
Then it
allowed the
changes
development to
things.
get that far. It doesn't stop it entirely from building anything, and it's gonna be, yeah.
Abdallah.
Just on that, so will this allow, this level 1 groundwater, allow them to do phase 1?
No, they'd still
They
need,
still need the
when they
phase-
come in for permits for phase
They
1,
need
they'd still need a level 2
level
for
two,
phase
okay.
1. Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
That's right. Yeah, no, great question. So in terms of the phasing, and I won't go through all of this here, but there are essentially 10 phases proposed. Each phase contains a number of dwelling units. The majority of the phases are 20 units, at least up until phase 6. And so we have timelines associated with each of those. So basically, within 2 years of the date of this agreement, if it is signed, phase 1 has to begin. And then it has to be complete within 18 months of the start of construction. So each phase has to be complete within 18 months. Again, the thinking there to keep the development moving and not keep a slow build of units, and your existing residents are having to deal with that. So the phases are outlined here. The only note, I guess I would say, other than what we've talked about there, is that in some of the later phases, so phase 4, we see the creation of the first green space recreational area. So there are 5 areas shown on the plan that will be maintained for green space and recreation. Initially, the applicant was proposing specific programming for each of those. We recommended to generalize those and then leave the programming to their discretion in the future. So there were talks about, pickleball courts or all those kind of things. This way, it essentially establishes those areas, but the infrastructure and programming would be left up to the applicant. We also, and this is included in the phasing here too, there are 2 fire ponds proposed to provide on-site water for firefighting purposes. Those have been discussed with the local Blandford Fire Department chief. So the first pond is shown on the plan. It's down in the corner near Highway 329. The second pond comes in phase 5, and the location will be determined with the fire department, and that allows us to hopefully, have that in it. If one's here and it's a long, narrow lot, they may want another one to provide, surety of access in a need. So just to speak to the units, the dwelling units themselves. So as I mentioned, they're proposed to be detached, single-unit dwellings, and the intent is to provide, as we've heard this morning, attainable housing. This will not be subsidized or deeply affordable housing, but the applicant is doing their best through some of the design mechanisms here to keep the costs, to the end users as low as possible. So we'd expect it to be in the market range and hopefully maybe towards the more affordable end of that market range. This isn't being marketed as a retirement community, but we would expect from the unit types that it probably would be desirable for new homeowners as well as folks looking to downsize, but it is, open to anyone.
Yep.
And the ownership model is proposed to be a condominium, so it's what we call a bare land condominium. So the lands under all the land would be owned by a condominium corporation. The roads and the maintenance would be handled by them, and the units themselves would be owned by individuals. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think last piece here, so there was initially in this design, there was proposed to be some commercial space as well. The hope was to attract a doctor's office and a pharmacy, as well as have some apartment units above. Due to the loss of the second access point to Highway 329, that had to be removed. It just didn't fit, and due to the traffic that would come in for that commercial use. So there is complete policy analysis here, and I'm happy to answer any questions, but I think what I should maybe conclude with is just a summary of the discussion at the Municipal Planning Advisory Committee. So this file, we did have a public information meeting, that was last year in the community, it was very well attended. And then we brought this to the Municipal Planning Advisory Committee on April 15th. There was a lengthy discussion there, we went through this report and the options. And ultimately what happened was a motion from the committee requesting further information and studies from the applicant. In hindsight, and I will take some of the fault here, as the staff person providing advice to the committee, it would have been more appropriate for the committee to move the file to council with a request that council request those, so the committee doesn't actually have the authority to request those items from the applicant, particularly because the specifics, and just to go through what was requested. So they were asking for an updated groundwater level 1 to cover the whole 249 units. They were looking for, so we received as part of the application a traffic impact statement. So you might hear traffic statement versus traffic study, and there is a difference. So a traffic impact statement is, both are done by an engineer, but a traffic impact statement is estimating the amount of traffic that this proposed development will generate. So it's trips in and trips out, and they use a variety of formulas to estimate that based on the units and those kind of things. So we have received that. That was discussed with the traffic authority, the province, and they're, again, we've received
You've already moved on to the phase 2 water study, so.
Right. But the committee was looking for a traffic study. So a traffic study would be a wider scale. It wouldn't just look at this development, it would look at the road and all the other impacts. And they were particularly interested during peak season in the summer when there's tourist traffic and bicycles, and as well the new Blandford ferry terminal and what impacts they might have. And the final request from MPAC was for staff to send some of the details on the on-site septic to Nova Scotia Environment for comments. That piece is a little unsure what we'll get back in terms of comments, but basically the committee was expressing concerns with the number of on-sites on a single lot.
Well, they have to be approved by the province.
Right, they do, and from a staff perspective, a subdivision would allow a similar level of density in this area, and they would be served through on-sites too. So I don't completely see the difference there, but the committee felt there was a concern there. So those were the 3 items. But again, based on the fact that those are, significant cost and potentially significant time delays in terms of the traffic study, if it needs to be done in, say, July or August to capture that peak season. So in hindsight, I should have suggested that the committee move it forward with those recommendations. And in the interim, since that meeting, the committee has been disbanded as we restructure. So I advised them of that by email, just to let them know that this was going forward. I didn't want anyone to think that we were, doing anything out of sorts. But I did want to mention that to council. So council certainly does have the ability to request any of those items or all of those items or additional items if they feel they're required to make a decision. The staff recommendation does remain positive, that council give first notice to enter into the development agreement. And again, that's staff feel comfortable that the level 2 groundwater before each phase will address that portion of it. The traffic study, it's a tricky one.
Well, it all depends on the summer and the day.
Right, and we don't control that road, so the ferry terminal is completely outside of our control, and so asking an applicant to provide a study for that, when the traffic authority has said the road is okay and can handle this new traffic, there's a question there, are we exceeding our authority because we're not the traffic authority?
Involved in that.
And our zoning allows it, right? So if we've heard in the previous weeks, there's a discussion maybe on large rural developments and some future work, but as it stands now, this is all, laid out in policy. So I know that was a lot. Happy to answer any questions.
I think you've covered off all the bases myself, but that's, anyway, the recommendation is to give first notice to enter into the agreement. Councillor Bremner?
Thank you, Warden Weber. I do have some concerns. I mean, it sounds really nice and it sounds great, but I have concerns, and my history. I mean, a second egress to get off that property. We saw what happened in Tantallon. I mean, a gate's great, but if that gate's locked and people need to go, you either smash the gate or something, it becomes very,
They would have a key, I would
you
assume.
know, and
Yeah.
it becomes, well, who's got the key, and it's that. Traffic concerns me, and the water. I mean, I'm a big proponent for cisterns. You know, where there's limited water, you should be considering putting some cistern systems in to.
But they're doing the phase 2 water study.
Yeah, I realize that, and times change, things like that, so we do lots of studies and things change quickly, so I'm not sold on this quite yet. I mean, I have to be honest, there's a lot of challenges here, and it's a great number, 249 or whatever it is, and phases, and, you know, is the money is a big issue if the partners are all there and those kind of things, so, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, any questions or comments?
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Bremner. It is a big development. I know I sat on the Planning Advisory Committee, and they really wanted updated water assessment. I mean, it'd be awful to approve this, it goes ahead, and then they're coming back and we have no water. Water's an issue. So I think that committee, I know they can't make a recommendation. They did want updated water study.
But they're doing phase 2, and they were only doing phase 1 prior to.
Right, so, and that's something for council to discuss. So, yeah, so the committee was looking for an updated level 1, which would be that tabletop study, to indicate that there would be a likely potential to serve the development with water. Unless we made a change, so let's say council agreed with that, and they wanted to request that. So if that was the case, and then we went forward, the level 1 would come in and show 249 units, based on, you know, those surrounding well logs and whether there was a likely chance. Before construction began, they would, as their things are written today, they still require a level 2 study to be done.
Which is
for
even
that
more broad.
Which is for that specific phase, and involves test wells and drawdown rates to say not to say there's likely water, because that came up at the committee a lot. The level 2 will prove there is water before it's built.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's a discussion of council to just consider, you know, what meets the policies here.
If you're gonna do the level 2 before each phase, that's more significant information, better information than an overall phase 1.
It is, yeah, and there was, you know, yes, that was definitely part of the discussion. So, I believe the way this is written now, no units would be able to be built without having proof that there was water to support them, right? So the question is, do we want to put more up front or at the permitting stage?
Well, it's at the permit, well, whatever. Anyway, so what are we gonna do, people?
For me, numbers not as good as it used to be. We had a public meeting on this, and the public really wasn't too thrilled with it, from what I understand. Well, is that a correct assumption?
It was a challenging meeting, for
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
yeah, there were some folks that were just looking to disrupt, and then there were a lot of folks that just had legitimate
Sure.
concerns and questions.
Which were basically on the water type issues and things like that.
We also, I'd say water, traffic, and community character, again, the size, you know, and I try not to, do this in a way that's, you know, seen as argumentative, but we've heard that this is a high-density development. It's not, it's a large development, but it's on 130 acres. So it's a half an acre per unit roughly in terms of that, and that's very typical of
With setback
what you'd see through a
requirements and
subdivision.
vegetation,
Right,
vegetative
but it is,
buffers.
but to be fair, it is a large development, that's true.
Absolutely, yeah.
I guess where I come from is our plan allows that, and we're talking about wanting growth and development. So unless we have policies to say we don't want large developments, which we
Well, it
currently
meets the
don't,
requirements as far as I can see.
that's staff's take, yeah.
Yeah. So where are we going? Are we gonna,
I should say that the applicant is also here, so if council had questions that they wish to pose to him, I'm not sure if that would be helpful or not, but,
if you have a question, yeah, are you prepared to answer questions if we have?
Whatever you guys like.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
State your name.
So this is Marco Ferro, and he's the applicant on the application. Yeah.
So you had a question, Tom?
Yes, thank you, Warden Weber. Thank you for joining us. I believe when you presented before, you said you had partners going to work with you on this project, or
Yep.
are they all secure? Are we in place for that kind of start phase?
Yeah, I already, so realistically, I took out the whole loan for it, so
Okay.
I have to get going. I have a large interest payment per month. So if I was to get delayed a lot longer, then we would probably look at other routes. To be honest, we would look at, I mean, as of right, I'm allowed to build a subdivision in there, and I didn't want to do it that way, but I'm allowed, based off the water study, a certain amount of lots with the secondary access, and that's the next thing that's gonna happen if we don't, and I'm not, that sounds like a threat, that sounds really bad. But that'll be my next course of action, because I'm not going bankrupt and ruin my kids' lives because this takes me another year to get through it. And that's what I feel like's happening, and I don't think you guys realize that I pay $11,000 a month for an interest payment. I can't continue doing that for much longer. Sorry, I just don't make enough money, and I just don't. So, at some point, I'll either do that, or we'll actually just apply. I'm already in talks with people to get the road work and the new road designed for a subdivision so that I can go forward if this slows down much more. And I'm not saying that to be rude or to be threatening, I'm saying that because I can't afford it anymore, and this is my reality, and I owe $1 million on the property. So, that's where we're at, and I don't think that people understand that a phase 1, even a phase 2 water study, I think you understand what that means. But that's another $60,000 that I get to pay each time I start a phase. And people don't realize that that's a lot of cost, and then you're like, well, we wanna keep housing costs down. Well, $60,000 for 10 houses, that's $6,000 a house.
Yeah.
And then we say, oh, that's no big deal, but then I have to pay interest on that. So really, the cost to a house is $8,000 to $9,000 when I get a water study done.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money, and I'm almost
But you've
sorry
agreed
that
to
I
doing
didn't-
it, so.
Yeah, I'm almost sorry that I used Abel, because I'd like Andre, he understands this really well and can speak to it. And it's
Not
part of
today
the-
he can.
Yeah, it's the cost of doing business, and he might disagree with some of my takes on it, but as of right, I'm allowed to build a subdivision, and that's what we're exploring next, because I really hope that we could do what I thought was nice, or something I'd be proud of. The goal is to build net zero homes, but we can't promise that, but the goal is to build net zero homes. But if we have to build a subdivision, we'd be allowed a certain amount of lots as of your bylaws, and we know that. And we could have a higher density based on that.
Yeah.
Because we've already dug
less.
soil tests up there, and we could put 120 lots up there.
Wouldn't be as nice as this one is, no?
No, and this is what I don't understand. So I wanna do something nicer, but I might get forced into doing something faster and cheaper so I can recover money. And I'm gonna live in this community for a long time. I don't wanna piss people off, but I'm definitely not going bankrupt.
Okay,
So-
anyone else have any questions for him? Yeah.
So I guess if I'm reading you correctly, even though Gar spoke about a level 2 groundwater study, is that something you're interested in?
Oh, it's part of this agreement, he has
Well,
to.
that's
what
part
I'm
of the
saying.
agreement, I have to do it.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just telling you, that's what really happens.
Yeah.
When you do that, and I pay somebody $60,000 to come out for 10 houses on the phase 1, then has to be passed on to a house, and now,
Part of the cost.
yeah, that's a hard cost. And then if I pay for it at the beginning, you know, by the time I get the money back, I pay interest on it, you're looking at $9,000 by the time that's all done, because I'm gonna pay 15% or 12% interest on a construction loan.
Any other questions, people, before we move along? Okay, thanks for coming up.
Thanks, sorry for being a whiner, but thanks for.
Okay, so we gotta deal with the recommendation. Unless we wanna do something different, that's,
So, I think council's options would be to give first notice, request further information, or, I guess,
make a motion for first notice and defeat it. Would that
Well,
be?
there would be no motion to defeat it.
Just no
There's
motion?
Or they could defer a decision to.
Sure.
For further,
I mean,
or we could.
if we need legal advice, because I'm not so sure that there's much grounds for us to reject it. Because they've met the requirements.
I'll make a motion to move forward with first reading.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion on the motion. So the motion is, as recommended, that we give notice of intent to enter into the development agreement. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried.
Would we like to set a date for a public hearing? I'd suggest this one we probably want to do as a standalone
Sure, yeah.
hearing. June 4th, I think, would be the earliest that we could get, make sure we
June
get.
4th, are we at the FCM?
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're at FCM.
Okay, we could do the next, let's see,
Oh my, I
lots
can't
of
even
options.
tell you when I'm gonna be back.
15th or the 17th?
Well, I'd go with the 17th.
The
I
week
can't-
of the 17th would probably be the better one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I'm
So-
staying 4 or 5 days after the conference out there, so.
that should be fine.
We could
Yeah.
we could do the 18th as a Thursday, so that.
18th then, whatever, yeah.
Public hearing.
I'll be home, in theory.
Yeah. And that's great, because there's a mail out required for this one, and so that'll give us lots of time. Pardon me? This, you just gave it first reading. Yeah. 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 Great.
Hear what the rest of the world has to say.
Yep. Great. All right. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Hobbled Industries, staff, are you on that one? No, you're on this one, okay.
Yeah, it's planning day.
Good morning again. This report for you is just to let you know that we have received a development agreement application from Hobalt Industries.
Yeah,
They make marine cranes and decking equipment. They're out on Highway 14, I'm sure you're all aware.
yep,
They're looking to basically double their floor area of manufacturing and office.
yeah.
So they've acquired a parcel just next to it that they've actually built a building on. They're gonna eventually consolidate them. So I'm gonna move ahead with the application and review and get all the supporting information from the applicant, and now council's aware.
Okay, well, sounds good to me.
Sounds good, yeah.
There's no action we have to take, you're just.
That's correct, but now I'll put the sign up at the site and
Yeah,
things like that.
okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
12.3, budget authorization weigh scale replacement. Well, I guess we probably have to do it.
So I'll keep it fairly short. I think the report hopefully was relatively explanatory. It's unfortunately, it's a lot of the underside brackets and that are fairly corroded.
It's been there a while.
It's been there a while, and since we had scheduled it to be tentatively replaced next year, I think after some consideration of what we're seeing on the scale and what the structural assessment says, like the recommendation from both sides basically to proceed, go forward now and replace it sooner rather than later, just given the state of, save the corrosion on the underside of the structure, so.
So we need to replace it, so recommended that we allocate $300,000 borrowing to supply and install new waste scale. What are we gonna do? Second. Discussion, all those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. Oh, sorry, oh, I didn't, you moved it, so I just assumed you were done with it.
Not that it matters now, but discussion is the part where we discuss. So, the problem with when we get requests from the landfill and our operation out there, which is important and I think we all support, is that it's really hard as a decision maker to understand the context between our expenditures and our business plan. This has been a long-standing issue, and I think in this budget it really highlighted the need to have like a capital asset management plan and an integration of that with our strategy for running the landfill as a business. And this is my opportunity to sort of make that message back to council and staff that I feel like this is a super important thing that we've been missing. And if we want to rely on the revenue of the landfill as a non-tax form of revenue to run our municipality, we need to start bringing this information forward in a way that isn't fragmented. Because currently we get these requests and it's like, it's in a vacuum. Oh, the scale's worn out, we need a new one. Well, I mean, okay, of course, we're gonna replace it, but I don't know what it means in terms of our business continuity. And so that's my message back. Of course, we support replacing the scale, but I feel like we need to have regular or some sort of ongoing report of how we want to operate our business in terms of asset management, because there's all kinds of assets we have out there, and how that relates to our business. And so that's the message I want to make. This is my opportunity to make it, I think.
Okay, and I think we have that, it's on our agenda to do, we just haven't, it's only been a couple of weeks.
It's pretty crucial.
Okay, Sharon.
Thank you. Things happen, unplanned. This is something that, when they investigate it, it needs to be replaced quicker than we expected. It would be no different if it was a compactor that went down. You gotta have it for a landfill, so what do? Say, oh no, I'm sorry, we can't replace it for 2 years. I mean, this is necessary, so we have to do it. I agree, having a capital asset management plan is great, but this is something that I don't want to beat anybody up to say, well, it shouldn't have came here, it's all of a sudden. I mean, there are unexpected things that happen. The motor can go out of your vehicle and you either have to replace it or,
Quit driving.
you don't drive anymore. So
Okay,
I'm just going
we're
to
done.
say, Councillor Vino, really, you should be more careful with the equipment. That's not really appropriate, and it makes it appear that we're all a little bit immature here, so I think we
Banging
have
on is
to.
not right, no. Clarissa.
I think to Councillor Vito's defense, he's not saying that this, it's a one-time thing and now you brought it potentially to our table and we have no choice but to say yes.
It's just a
We
broader
are
discussion.
confirming that, but I believe that if there's an opportunity to create a business and have a business component within the assets we have and making the landfill an actual viable business. And I think that point
No,
should be
I
made.
think
Thank you.
if I may, just real quick, I think all the points are fair, and we are taking back, and we are trying to, we are working towards that, and certainly take the point that's, yes, I would prefer to have a little bit more planned out, and that in some respects, you're seeing some of that in how this particular budget, some of the presentations, there's certainly more work to be done, for sure. And your point is very well taken in that regard, so it takes a little bit of time just to develop all that framework around, so.
Who's second? Councillor Vino.
And I'll just jump in again. Thank you, Councillor Coolin. My point again. The point again is that these sorts of decisions have come from now for a long time, and sometimes as a decision maker, when these decisions come, like, okay, we need a new excavator and we need a new 40-ton excavator or whatever, you feel powerless to say anything other than yes, of course. And of course, equipment breaks down and we have to fix it. Nobody's ever saying that we wouldn't, of course. I think what I'm trying to suggest is that there are equipment that comes on a life cycle. That's asset management in a nutshell. We can plan for routine maintenance or replacement of equipment. And then what does that actually mean to our business? You know, if we're trying to make our business prosperous, and I think in general, the taxpayer in the municipality of Chester is interested in trying to find non-tax sources of revenue. This is our real opportunity that we have that many others don't. How do we change the way we look at the landfill from something that's just a service that we offer to something that's actually a generation of wealth for our residents? And I think that's in a nutshell what we want to see go, at least I would like to see going forward. How do we change that?
Tom?
Thank you, Warden Weber. I'm going to touch on a couple of things. First of all, we all get passionate because we have interests and want to see things done. I think this is part of our challenge as a council, is to get caught up and move forward in new ways because the world has changed so fast. The landfill is not the only one that I would feel that has come to the table that we are trying to work to build with a relationship to put plans in place for years to come. Things do happen, but I do also agree 100% with Councillor Vino. This is the opportunity with the landfill. Communities around the world have developed wonderful opportunities through landfills and process of the right management of waste to be profitable, to keep taxes down. We did it this year. We were smart. Our residents need to understand, we don't sit here just wanting to spend money. We sit here trying to manage it and construct it that it is beneficial to them through the businesses such as that Scott's managing. Leadership is so darn important. The structure of how we do it, what we do and how we build it, and we need to change. That's part of why I see the frustration here today on some cases and what we need to understand as council. It's not easy. We sit here maybe in democracy is that we change our mind. We saw some samples of that today where things have been presented that we have to think about. You know, we talk about one thing, we can't talk about it and not do something. So I encourage that staff continue to do the job they have, and we have to make priorities as we do it. So it is important, and I thank everyone's input. I think that's important. Thank you.
Abdallah?
Yeah, thanks, Scott. I just on the plan that you come forward like, so I haven't, I don't know if you've even looked at this, or it might be part of what you're gonna present, but you know, now we take our own garbage. If you're a ratepayer, it's basically no cost. So I'm sure you'll look at that aspect when you're looking at it. So, okay, I just.
Yeah.
You look at everything.
Yeah, thank you.
There is a market assessment, I will say.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Scott.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
You got it. Okay, 12.4, operating grant application, Forest Heights Student Council, Community Development and Recreation.
Chad's not here, so I'll present this one on his behalf. In November, council gave direction for the Forest Heights Student Council to come back through our operating grant process to apply for their Falcon Fun Day, and that's what this is. Normally, it would be included in an overall application package. However, their Fun Day is happening before our next council meeting, which is on the, so their Fun Day is on the 25th, and our next council meeting is on the 28th. So we're looking for council's approval to grant their request of $2,500 in the form of an operating grant for their application.
So.
Seconder? Seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Oh, sorry. Well, you didn't have your mic
Yeah,
on, so
okay. Didn't we not tell them to get it in early? We had this discussion out there and they've kind of dropped the ball on their part because we did tell them not to wait till the last minute. And I remember that discussion out at the school that we had with them. So just education to people, don't jam us. It's very tough to do that. And I think if you know ahead of time, you have to plan. As we said earlier, it's about a process. So thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Now, to the very best of my knowledge, I am on to, you had some comments you wanted to make, Tom.
Thank you, Warden Weber. I just wanted to let the public know that a number of colleagues and myself traveled to Yarmouth to the NSFM the last couple of weeks. It was an informative day and a half opportunity. We heard lots of updates. I'm very pleased that the provincial government is providing a lot more awareness and intent and participation, because I think we had about 8 or 10 reps between ministers and deputy ministers and staff, and it was very informative. Also, I want to compliment our staff, because many of the things they talked about we are actually doing or ahead of the game, and I feel very confident, yet a lot of residents think we don't. We are. When you look at the 49 municipalities, many of them are struggling with many things that we're addressing and dealing with, which is good. Second point, I had the honor on behalf of council to present another 100-year-old gentleman from our municipality, a certificate from the municipality, Mr. Stuart Carver from Chester Grant. I presented it at the Chester Legion. He had a wonderful turnout. He was very thankful. Our MLA presented a certificate to him. We had a wonderful chat, and he had a great day, I hope. And I don't know how he made it in the pool tournament, but he's an active pool player still at 100 years old, and he's quite
Lucky
active.
He can play it all.
That's right. And the last thing I want to do is I want to let the public know that I'm holding 2 public sessions as drop-ins, one on the 27th of May in the evening at the Baptist Church in Chester, and one June 3rd at the East Chester Recreation Hall from 6:30 to 8:30, just to come in and ask me questions. It's according to how many show up, how the structure will be, if we do it as a group or we do it as individuals, but I want to make an open dialogue. You know, people don't always understand the challenges we have behind the scenes and what we have to deal with and what we're facing, and many get very concerned that we're not representing the interest of the communities. It's about trying to hear and understand and moving forward. We're facing a lot of future things that have to be openly discussed and have to be changed because some of the things have been tried for years and haven't worked. So we have to look at new ways of interested in communicating with people. Thank you, Warden.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.